Can we quiet down a little bit as we get started? Thank you. Thank you. As we prepare for our noonday meditation and prayer. What a week. We had a wonderful week, wonderful past few weeks. And this Tuesday was just awesome being here with everyone as you help to celebrate my husband's memory and his life and legacy. I so appreciate each of you for just supporting this ministry. So good to see you, J. Rock. Welcome back. We miss seeing you the last few weeks, but we are very thankful and grateful that you're here. And you have that smile on your face. Just appreciate the family for coming in and just being here as I was pulling up to help set up everything as we prepare for our meditation and lunch. So we welcome those that are watching us via YouTube now or later. You're watching now or later, if you would hit like and share this link so that others will know. I'll be blessed by the meditation, but they'll also know that we're here each Friday. So just as we get started, I want to just share some announcements. So I don't forget at the end. Next week is the Thanksgiving holiday. And we're planning to do something here, probably on that day, in respect and honor of the indigenous community of the land, but also in our effort to demonstrate gratitude and thankfulness. So we will not be here on Friday. In fact, we will be closed during the week, except for Thursday. And then we'll be back Sunday. And then the following week, we will be open. So in case you're watching, just make note of that. And I'll try to remember. We'll post it on our social media page. All right, so today, our meditative thought is joyful. What is joyful? Joyful, powerful, thankful, and grateful. So there's 4 words: joyful, prayerful, thankful, and grateful. Anyone want to take a shot at what they think either of those words mean? Let's start with joyful. What does it mean to be joyful? Let's open the back door for him, please. Thank you. Joyful. What do you think joyful means? Full of laughter, full of love?
It's joyful. It's like it's like you cannot. It's not. It cannot be explained in one definition. I think it's all in a personal point of view because some people find joy out of destroying themselves. Some people find joy out of love. But I think joy is just a state of mind where we are like feel complete at the time or overjoyed.
So do you think that joy, when you say some people may feel joy and trying to get this other family?
Like some people find joy when they inhale a cigarette.
Well, they get pleasure. They get pleasure from that.
Yeah.
But is pleasure and joy the same thing?
Not always, but it can collide with each other.
Okay. All right. So you think they can collide? All right. We'll take that. Anyone else on joyful? All right, let's go to prayerful. What do you think it means to be prayerful?
Prayerful?
What area do you want? So I can.
I would say prayerful would be somebody that is consistent. That is consistent with praying. Like they always pray, no matter what circumstances, no matter what they facing. they always, the first thing they tend to go to is to pray.
Okay, so someone who is consistent in prayer.
Yeah.
All right, so prayerful. Anyone else? We're defining joyful, and we're on the second word now, prayerful. What about prayerful? What about thankful? Thankful. What do you think thankful? Learning to love what you have. Okay.
Nothing more.
Waking up in the morning.
To honor things that's around you and what you have to do, so.
To honor things that are around you and what you have in yourself.
Yes.
All right? Deep answers. Anyone else? Thankful.
Just being grateful, gratitude, appreciation.
Gratitude, appreciation. So gratitude's our next word, or the root of it. Grateful is the root. Gratitude is the root of grateful. So when you say grateful, what's grateful? What does it mean to be grateful?
Like I'm grateful for having a roof on my head.
Okay, that's an example of something you're grateful for.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you experience that?
Ooh, that's a good question. How do you experience it?
Mm-hmm.
Cause sometimes we may be grateful but don't show it,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes we show it without realizing.
Okay.
So it's like those two different experiences, two different ways. Because sometimes when you know that you're grateful and you knowingly know it, you get a certain feeling inside.
Okay.
But when you just doing it and don't realize you even doing it, it may pass you by. So
Okay.
you might not get it fully.
So you said some key things. You said it's can be a feeling inside, something you feel energetically.
Yeah,
So it's not just a thought in your head,
yeah,
but it's something that's emotive. It's a feeling.
yeah,
It's an energy.
yeah.
All right. So just pause. Those was all good, great answers, and just think about those. Those are the words that our meditative thought is for today. Those 4 words: joyful, prayerful, thankful, and grateful. And as we go into the end of this week and into next week, we want to just hold those words in conversation with ourselves. So our meditative scripture, let me just read this. It's from the Christian Bible, 1 Thessalonians, the 5th chapter. It says, "Be joyful always, pray at all times, be thankful in all circumstances." And I think that's what I heard. Was that you, J. Rock, that was saying, or was it Joyful who was saying it's about just waking up in the morning? It's not so much about those special things that we think happen. We think they're special, but waking up in the morning is pretty special,
Yeah.
right? You know, we go to sleep, and sleep is almost it's a state of death.
Yeah.
You know, and to wake up in the morning is really something really awesome.
It really is.
Because everyone that falls asleep at night don't wake up in the morning. And while we sleep and slumber, we are really unconscious about our circumstances and what's around us. So it's pretty miraculous and it's pretty awesome to be able to fall asleep 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, whatever, 10, 12 hours, whatever the time, and then wake up on your own. Our meditative quote, and I want us to think about this, and this goes back to what Sister Mecca shared when she connected gratitude and thankfulness. So our meditative quote is, "Thankfulness is the beginning of gratitude." Thankfulness is the beginning of gratitude, period. Gratitude is the completion of thankfulness. Thankfulness may consist merely in words. Gratitude is shown in acts. This is a quote by Henry Frederick Emile, and it's on your handout. So I always share this, so this is something that we all can take with us for the week and ponder it. So I want you to consider this. You can be thankful without being grateful, based on what I just shared. You can be thankful without being grateful.
I understand that.
You can understand
I
that?
can 100% understand
Yeah.
that. Yeah, like that when you like you think something you did
Mm-hmm.
I'm an old thing. Thank you. But I don't show like, okay, it's thankful and grateful. You said
Mm-hmm.
that. It can be a combination of the two or separated. But thankful, you can be thankful and grateful, or you just be grateful and don't show it.
You can be thankful, and again, let's go back and we can see if we can experience, we have examples of how we experience this, that we can be thankful, but not necessarily grateful. If gratitude is an expression or it's an act, something that you do. Let me just share this and then tell me what you think. Going back to the scripture that I read, the scripture gives us a prescription for living an energetic flow of reciprocity. What is reciprocity?
I never heard of that.
It's like a cycle, give and take, you know.
It's a flow.
Yes.
It's a
Yes.
constant flow. So reciprocity is the energetic flow of life. There's a cycle of life. What you put out is coming back. Have you ever heard the saying, I know my mom and grandma, some of the old folks would say, cast your bread on the water, and in many days it shall return to you? What it's saying is that whatever you put out there is going to circle back to you.
Yeah.
What you give out is going to find its way in that energetic flow of circulation coming back to you. Not necessarily in the way that you put it out there, but that's the nature and the cycle of life. So too often we dwell on what we don't have. You know, and I've been guilty of that, and sometimes still. We look at what we wish we had, and or who is against us, who don't like me, and on and on and on. And we create this orbit of negativity around us. Whenever we're focusing on those areas where we lack, where we're not where we think we should be, or on the negative, what we perceive to be the negative circumstances in our lives, what we're doing is we are putting out what we don't want, but what we're putting out is what we're bringing back to ourselves. So we don't want lack, but if we focus on lack, that's what we'll keep creating in our life. What we focus on is what we bring into existence. What we give our attention to is what we create and reinforce in our existence. If we constantly dwell on what we lack, lack will be our reality. It becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. The thing you say you don't want is the thing that you keep recreating in your life. The thing that you fear is the thing that becomes your reality. And that's a lesson that if we learn it early in childhood, it will allow us to get into that river, that flow of life, that reciprocity, in a way where we can navigate the currents. When we don't learn it, we find ourselves constantly moving against the wind. Instead of moving with the flow of life, we find ourselves moving against it. And what I'm suggesting is that there is an energetic or spiritual laws or principles that work perfectly. So for example, we know the law of gravity, right?
Yeah.
What does the law of gravity say?
Lord God.
The law of gravity. What goes up must come down. It works for all of us, regardless of age, wealth, knowledge, education. What goes up must come down. That's a law that works absolutely. Now, we can go around that law like an airplane. Knows how to push against gravity, but it can't stay up there always.
Right.
It goes up, it's going to have to come down. But eventually. So even there, the law of gravity still works. If either of us go up to the roof, the top of the building, and decide, I just want to take a stroll, across the air. across the atmosphere. What goes up must come down.
I got the order.
Yeah,
No, seriously.
I got you. So that law, what I'm trying to put out there is that that law isn't, if that happens to you, it's not that, oh, something was against me. You know, gravity just don't like me. I don't know why this is always happening to me. You know, that's not right. You know, I can't win for losing. No, you don't understand the law. Because every time you do it, it's going to happen. Right? And it goes back to the book we're reading. Keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result. When we understand, like the laws of physics, you can't put your hand in fire. What do you expect to happen?
Fine.
You'll get burned.
That's
Right?
your human choice.
But it has nothing to do with who you are. That happens to the rich, the poor, the young, the old, you know, the smart, the educated, the uneducated alike. Those are laws that do not discriminate. They work perfectly every time for everyone. So what I'm suggesting is that the law of attention is likewise. That which you focus on is what you're going to bring into your existence.
I need to hear that.
And if you're focusing in on what you don't want, you're going to keep recreating that in your experience. And so if you want to change the flow of your life, change your attention. What are you putting your attention on? I think I shared this some time with ago when I was talking about just raising children. It's so important for parents, regardless of the behavior their children are demonstrating. And as parents, we are to put in guideposts and discipline and correct and nurture and train, but we never get stuck in the behavior and focus on the negativity. Because if we constantly are saying, you know, you're just bad, you ain't no good, you ain't never, you know, you're stupid, you know, calling them out of their names, that's what we're going to keep reproducing in them. We're going to keep manifesting that, even though it's not what we want. So if we constantly allow the darkness to overwhelm us, we will forget that we are the light. We are actually the stars that are supposed to light up the night sky. Last night was a beautiful, clear night filled with stars. And sometimes from my bed, when I look out the window, I can see like one star. Last night, they were all over. Lots of stars lighting up the sky, a clear night. When we think about ourselves, we can choose to curse the darkness. We can choose to say what we don't want, you know, and we're giving energy to it. We're giving attention to it, and we're going to keep bringing that cycle back. When we choose to develop an attitude of joyfulness, meaning, for me, seeing the sun behind every cloud. For me, that's the way I describe joyfulness. You know, it's a cloudy day, it's a rainy day. It's still beautiful because I know the sun is right behind there. The sun hasn't went anywhere. I just don't see it, but it's still there. So I can still experience what it means to know that the sun has not left me. It's still there. I don't care what the circumstance is, what it is that's in my sight right now. I know the reality is more than that. So I don't focus on that. Oh, they're just clouds. Where did the sun go? Am I ever going to see the sun again? No, I know I am. So that creates an attitude within me of joyfulness. Being prayerful is a state of conscious awareness, this is just my interpretation, of your God self living, moving, and having your being from your inner core. A lot of folks think of prayer as being a particular posture, which it can be. There are particular ways we can pray and do pray and should pray. But a prayerful spirit, or to pray at all times, to me says that I'm constantly aware that I am not just in the presence of the divine, that divine can never be absent from me. So there's a constant awareness of the energy that dwells within me and through me and as me. So from that posture, I'm always listening for what my inner core is saying to me. You spoke something Wednesday that was so profound. You said something had spoke to you and said, maybe you should just stay. That's being in a posture of prayer when we're able to hear what's being said. Now, the challenge is we don't always yield to it. And that's a process. I don't always. But being aware that there is this energy within you, this knowing within you that's constantly there. So you're not necessarily just walking around talking to yourself, but you can, and talking with yourself. But when that voice within you is speaking, when you're listening, when you're hearing what it's, and sometimes it's speaking to you through someone else. And they don't even know that they're speaking to you from the divine. Sometimes it's just a knowing on the inside. That's living in a posture of praying always for me. Thankful then becomes an expression on your lips. When you say thank you, it means I am aware or conscious of the benefit that I've just received. So it says, listen, I know that someone has just gifted me with something, or they've given me an opportunity, or they've opened a door for me, or they've done something for me that they didn't necessarily have to do. And I'm aware of that. You know, and sometimes, and we may take that lightly, but sometimes there are people who think you just got to do things for them. You know? And the truth is, nobody has got to do anything for anybody. There was a saying when I was growing up, it says the only thing you got to do is stay black and die. I don't know if you ever heard that. You ain't got to do. You ain't got to do nothing else. So when we are aware of just the small things, can we appreciate when someone holds the door for you? You walk into a store, into a room, and someone pauses to hold the door for you. They didn't have to do that. My husband has a story, I'm going to share it briefly, from when he purchased his first home. My husband was married prior to me. His wife, for a number of years, his wife died suddenly. And 3 years after he and I started dating, and then we married in 97. But when he purchased his first home years back, he had enough money for his down payment. It was his first home. He didn't know how the process worked. So he had paid that money, which was $5,000. What he had left in the bank was $107. So when he went to the bank, they were having the closing. So he showed up at the bank that morning, didn't know he needed anything else. And as he's walking through the door of the bank, there's a little old man coming up behind him. And so he stopped and he held the door for the old man. And he waited, and the old man said, "No, that's all right." He said, "No." He let the old man go in. So the old man, went where he was going. My husband, he went to the closing. When he got to the room with the closing and the bankers are sitting around the table and going over the papers, he needed like $2,000 more, something like that. And he was like, "Nobody told me I needed any more money. All I got in the bank is $107. And so they were like, "Well, we don't know what we can do because you have to have this for your closing." So one of them said, "Wait a minute." They left the room, went out, came back in with that same little man my husband had held the door for. He walked in and sat down at the table. He was the president of the bank. He said, "You don't have the money. I'm going to give you the keys. I'll give you 30 days to get the money. You can move in. We'll sign on the documents. Give you 30 days to get the rest of it." My husband didn't know who the man was. He had no idea that he even would need money, or he would need a favor, or he would need this favor extended to him. But that man appreciated the fact that my husband didn't have to hold the door for him. And that small thing, very small, insignificant. My husband got the money in the next 30 days and was able to pay the rest of it. But he gave him the keys and he moved in that same day.
Awesome.
Just on his word.
Right.
Just on his word. Because the man saw something in him because he had extended something. We don't know who we are extending something to, even when we give out. That's what I mean by reciprocity. That flow that goes out. And we don't do it because there's no way sometimes to know how it's coming back. We don't know how it's coming back. So thankfulness is a conscious awareness that what you have received was a benefit that you didn't, the person or however you received it didn't have to give it to you. Now gratitude, though, on the other hand, is a demonstration of appreciation of what one has received. So what do I mean by that? So gratitude goes beyond the fruit of your lips. It goes beyond saying thank you. It goes beyond even feeling, oh wow, I'm just so grateful, I'm so happy that this happened to me. But what gratitude does is it says that because I've been given this, that I have an obligation to give back. Not necessarily to the giver, but the same way I have received, to whom much is given, much is required. So every time something has come my way, that I've received the benefit of something, and I'm thankful, gratitude says, I find a way to give back. I find a way then to bless somebody else from what I have. It doesn't have, remember, it's not big things. It's opening a door. It's looking at someone and giving a smile, good morning. Just showing kindness to a stranger. It's living from that place that I receive every day, the hand that shakes me in the morning of God to wake me up. I didn't have to wake up, but I'm grateful, so I'm going to go out through my day and I'm going to try to extend that same kind of energy to somebody else. Good morning. You don't know if they're having a bad day, if they're about to go kill themselves. You don't know. We don't know when we encounter someone what they're going through. We never know. Smiling faces tell lies. We don't know because they're smiling. We don't know because they live behind a white picket fence that everything is all right. We don't know. So we live from a posture of never that I have nothing to give, because every one of us got something to give. If it's nothing but a smile, it costs us nothing, right? We've never in a place where we have nothing to give. And when you live from that posture of, I'm always giving, because the universe is always giving to me. And from that place, I'm always giving back. So we started a little late, so I want to just take maybe 2 or 3 minutes for us to pause. Before we do, any thoughts? Because I want to just meditate for about 2 minutes and let those words just kind of sink in like the soil of our spirit. Any thoughts? Anything that came up for you? As we enter this period where we're consciously thinking about what we're thankful for, what we're grateful for, if we can resolve to live from that place of being joyful, that whatever the cloud is, whatever the storm, I know the sun is behind it, and it will shine again. And I know that because I'm in constant communication with the divine that is always, ever present with me. Yes.
I think I actually was like, maybe, it could be like 2 weeks ago, about the word excellent
Excellent.
and perfect. It's perfect right now. It was so good. I'm struggling with that in my head for the longest. And I'm trying to put, I'm old school with a lot of things. I still have Webster's dictionary with like 5,000 words, and I just like to get open and just look up stuff. I'm going to go right to the internet. I was never really one of them. It's just so easy, like, I just like to.
And I thought that was a great question, and I had did a little research based on what you said, and I'm trying to remember. I actually put it, I think, on one of our Friday handouts, where I believe a perfect, excellent is really really well. Perfect
It's no flaws.
is no is when nothing can be added. That's perfect. There's nothing that can be added to improve it, to make it any better. Nothing else nothing else you do can change its excellency.
So it's
When
like
it's perfect.
it's like one of the same, but not.
Well, excellent is good. It's very good.
So it's like an A and an A plus.
Well, if you want to measure it in that way, perfect is nothing else more you could do or say. Nothing else.
Which leads to magnificent. So it's like them three words. Well, I'm just gonna stay with real excellent, but magnificent comes just right in there too. In that.
Well, magnificent becomes an expression that we have for what's excellent. That's how we experience and how we express what's excellent or what's perfect.
I was struggling with them too.
Yeah. And I think all of us can be excellent in our lives. All of us can be excellent to the extent that we can become the best version of ourselves. Perfect. Perfect then becomes a state of transformation. When we think about being perfect, there's a school of theology, and it's part of the theological framing that I grew up in, that for the human being, the embodied human being, to become perfect, meaning nothing else can be added, that becomes a state of transformation, is when we transform ourselves from these bodies of clay and we take on another form. But that's a deeper conversation.
You'll never hear nobody say that's a perfect man. Like, would you say that's an excellent woman?
Yeah.
That's an excellent man. Like, God, he's just perfect. It's like uncommon. It's like uncommon to say it.
Yeah.
Even if you think it, it's like you would really never hear it unless it's like in a sentence or something's being done like portrait out there on the wall. It's perfect.
It's excellent.
Like you said, it's a state of saying, but it's really excellent work.
Yeah, and excellent has to do with what we have to work with now. So we are excellent perhaps today, but we can get that better tomorrow. Yeah. So that I mean, we think about that in sports. We have sports athletes who set a high bar. They reach, something that goes into the Hall of Fame. But nobody's hit these many, made these many dunks, or had these many runs, or strikeouts. But 20, 30 years later, somebody comes along and did what? They beat that record. They beat that record. So it wasn't a perfect record. It was an excellent record. There was something else could be added, but not at that time. It was an excellent record. I mean, I grew up in the era of Muhammad Ali, and he was an excellent fighter. But somebody came along, and he was no longer the heavyweight champion. So, excellent means in this moment, I'm the best there is, or the best version of myself I can be right now, or I'm the best at this right now. But that doesn't mean that's perfect, because we're constantly, as humans, evolving. And what we could do 50 years ago, we are light years ahead of that now. I even watch our babies that are being born. I'm telling you, babies were born, and it was maybe 6 weeks before they would open their eyes and look at you clearly. Now they're almost born doing that. We're evolving as a species. We're becoming more every day, so we're not yet perfect. I don't know, that thought of evolution, what we're becoming is more than what we can imagine. But that doesn't mean we can't be excellent right in this moment. Does that make sense? That makes sense. All right, let's just quiet our spirits for a moment as we ponder this idea of joyful, prayerful, thankful, and grateful. Take whatever word or whatever combination, or however you want to mix them up, however it works for you, and let that just settle in your spirit. And we're going to take 2 minutes. I want us to just, could you just hold up your pen, your writing, and we just going to do 2 minutes of meditation. Get comfortable, however you are. Hands at your side, on your lap. Let's just try to clear our head, our minds, and settle the energy. We are really vessels of energy. And energy is never stagnant. It's always dynamic and moving. So just trying to quiet ourselves to the degree that we can. And let's try to do that by taking 3 deep breaths together. We're going to inhale deeply. 1, 2, inhale. And release. We're going to inhale again. And release. It's the 3rd time. We're going to just allow that breath to come up from the depths of our belly and just draw in and up through our lungs, inhaling. And release. And let us just sit in this place of joyful, prayerful, thankful, and grateful. As we come back to center, as we prepare to go into this weekend and just spend some intentional time being grateful and thankful and a prayerful, joyful attitude. Let us reflect on the small things. If you've ever been sick and were not able to feed yourself, You know how a little thing like that is so important. There was a time when I couldn't raise my arm from my own hair. To be able to do that, we don't think about it, but just so grateful that I can do that. I can touch my own head. And sometimes we don't know or think about the things we're thankful or grateful for until we don't have it or we can't do it anymore. The people in our lives that we love, sometimes we take them for granted until they're not there anymore. That we can eat and swallow food, and we don't have to eat through a tube. That we can get up and walk and move. That we have our sight, our hearing, whatever portion you have. A portion, I like to say, of my right mind, a portion. Because half the day I'm probably half crazy. So the little portion that I have, I'm thankful for that. Whatever roof I have over my head, thankful for that. Even if it's a tent on the street, thankful for that. For the people I pass that I say hello to, when they look back and say hello or good morning, I'm grateful for that. Because sometimes people will pass you by and won't respond. But when someone responds and they'll look you in the face and say, good morning. I'm thankful when I'm pulling up that gate and somebody will say, do you need some help? I'm thankful. They don't have to do it. Let us think of the little things. I'm thankful for the little hugs that I get from these two gentlemen. They don't know how meaningful. It costs nothing, but it's priceless. I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for each of you who are here. Beautiful people. I'm thankful. Let's just close this out with a few breaths together. And as we breathe, let's just be thankful for the breath. None of us here are on a breathing tube. We're breathing, we're inhaling and exhaling on our own. That breath is not ours. That breath is the divine. It's not ours. That's our life, is the breath. And that's what we share in common. I don't have a breath for me and one for you and one for you. There's one breath that we all inhale and exhale from the divine. So as we take these 3 breaths together, just think about what a gift. What a gift. As we inhale and release. Let's inhale and release. One last time together. Inhale and release. Ashe and amen. Let's remember to be someone sunshine over this weekend.
I got something. I want to say something. I don't know if they're gonna like it.
I'm so thankful for him. I am thankful for